Hello, I hope you're doing well today. My name is Ian Green, and I'm the musician for Music Dreams and Ian J. Green, two different artist profiles you can find wherever you stream your music. And today we're going to be looking at an interesting topic called chords and how to spell them. This I would call Unit 11, Part 1, which is a series of units that help to support the intermediate music rudiments book written by Mark Sarnecki. This topic is really an applicable topic that's really helpful when working on music analysis and also when working on playing your music, your particular pieces that you're enjoying, and helping to see how a composer works with different parts of music theory and Western music theory specifically. Now, what we're going to be doing is going over to look at the basics of what a chord is and how to spell it in this first tutorial. And specifically, we're going to be working on root position chords and chords that are major or minor in quality. Now, first of all, a quality means the type of chord you're playing. The different types of qualities of chords we're going to be looking at in this unit will include major and minor chords, which we'll be working on today. And also we're going to be learning about augmented and diminished chords in other tutorials on this channel as well, so you can stay tuned for that a little later. Now, of course, a triad contains three notes, and there's a root, a third, and a fifth. So if I were to go over to the piano here, we would have C as the root, E as the third, and G as the fifth in the root position triad of C major. If I were to play F, A, and C, F is the root, A is the third, and C is the fifth in the chord of F major. Now, something that's helpful is that a major triad in root position or a minor triad in root position kind of looks like a musical snowman in the sense that if the bottom note is on a space, the root is on a space, the third will be on a space, and the same with the fifth. This can be for any major or minor triad. As well, the subsequent thing can also occur on lines, where if you have the root on a line, then the third and the fifth will also be on a line as well. Now, when looking at the bottom note of a root position chord, that also helps us to find the name of the chord, and therefore the name of the scale that the chord is based on or is part of. So if we start on F major and we go F, root, A, third, C, fifth, then these notes are also the root or the first, third, and fifth notes in the F major scale. So that's the fascinating thing about how music theory works, is there's a lot of logic here. So if we play the F major scale with one flat, but then we play the root, third, and fifth of F major, those notes match, which is kind of cool. Now, if we want to also look at something else, we can see how there's a layer of intervals. If we look at the root, F as our example, to the third, a major triad contains a major third between the root and the third of that triad. Sometimes if I use the word chord, that's also the same name as triad. So if I interchange between those two names of the types of information we're learning, it's basically the same. So if I say triad sometimes and chord sometimes, it's the same information. So a root to a third, major third, and then we also have a root to the fifth of the chord or triad, which is a perfect fifth. So a triad, when you're playing it, sounds really lovely because you have that interchange or that mingling of sounds between a major third and a perfect fifth happening or playing at the same time. Now, a minor triad consists of a minor third above the root. In this case, it would be F, A flat, and C. And then we also have a perfect fifth above the root. So we have F as your root, A flat as your third, and C as your fifth. Now, triads can be played in two different ways, and we see this a lot in our music, especially piano music. You'll see this all the time. A solid triad contains notes where they're played all together. They're stacked on top of each other, like we have here in this first example on page 73. Now, we can also have chords that sound like that, solid triads. Now, we can also have a broken triad. So the intervals still are written in this way, our major third, perfect fifth, but each note is played individually. And you'll hear a lot of this in sonatinas. Right? So you can hear that there's the broken triad. So, kind of cool. So if the root of the chord is the lowest note, the triad is in root position. Now we're going to be learning in a different tutorial about inversions, so we'll get to that in a moment. But the most important thing that you want to think about is matching the root of a triad to the major scale. And then if you want to change a major triad to minor, we keep the fifth the same, but you lower the third, the middle note, down a half step. Let's look at a couple of examples where we can then identify these triads on page 74. And we'll go through the same process for some of these so that you can see how this works, and also you can see how to practice this topic. We're going to look at the first one together, and let's see that we have F as your root. So that's the answer there, but we have to decide, is it major or minor? So if you think of the F major scale, the F major key signature, we have 1 flat, B flat. So these notes are all natural notes. And if you play them, there's a nice sound of a major triad. It's happy, it's kind of jovial. So then the answer here, because this information of these notes matches the F major scale, the F major triad is the answer we want here. Now let's look at the next one. We see that this first note is a G. So we want to think, okay, what's the G major scale? G major scale contains F sharp and C sharp. Sorry, just F sharp, excuse me. So we have G major scale. So the G major triad would be G as a root, B as the third, D as the fifth to match that scale. But you can see how we have a B flat written in the third of this chord. So we want to go from G, B, D to lower that third down a half step. G, B flat, D. So then this is a minor triad. You can hear the sound of that chord is a bit different. It's sad. Just erase that to make that a little bit more legible. There we go. Okay, so now let's go to the next one. A flat. We want to think of the A flat major scale, which is 4 flats, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat. So A flat, C, E flat matches the A flat major scale. So this is the A flat major triad. So you can see how with each of these, I've looked at the bottom note, the root, and then from there decided on what the major scale is of that root note, what the key signature is specifically. Then tried to match that information to the notes in the chord to see if it does in fact match or if it's something else. Let's do a couple of these in the bass clef. Let's look at this first one. So we have B flat now. So we'll write down B flat as the root. And we know that we have two flats in that scale, B flat and E flat. So if we go B flat, D as the root and third, and then the fifth is F, the B flat major triad is written down in this homework example. So therefore, the B flat major triad is the answer we're looking for. The next one is C. And the C major scale, of course, has no sharps or flats. So the C major triad would be C, E natural, G. But we can see here that the third has been lowered to E flat. C, E flat, G. So if the third has been lowered, this is going to be C minor. Again, that's just part of this description here on the previous page. A major triad consists of a major third and a perfect fifth. A minor triad consists of a minor third and a perfect fifth. So I do hope this tutorial was helpful. It's been a pleasure to play chords and triads and help describe them a little bit. And I look forward to seeing you next time for another tutorial. Until then, have a wonderful day, and bye for now.